The Prescott family name had lost its shine. Veronica Vance, the reigning queen of New York's elite social scene, and my girlfriend found me at the wreckage of my family's fortune and gave me two options. First, we break up. Second, we go underground. It would be utterly humiliating if anyone knew I was still with you. Before I could answer, she forged ahead, confident. I know you're dying inside without me, so you'll obviously pick the second one. In that case, we need some ground rules. You can't be in the same room as me unless I clear it first. When I have to go on dates with suitable men, you are not to interfere. Also, my face was a blank mask. I cut her off. No, I picked the first one. Veronica's eyes widened. She was so stunned that her voice trembled when she finally spoke. You would dare break up with me? The scions of New York's ruling families gathered for these parties constantly. It was all about maintaining connections, expanding networks. With the Prescott name in free fall, I, Julian Prescott, had no business being there. But I had another title that still held. Boyfriend to Veronica Vance, the Vance family's crown jewel. That was my ticket in. Tonight's main event was planning the Arctic Circle expedition. One of the trust fund kids was having a birthday, and the excuse was to go see the Northern Lights. Veronica held a glass of red wine, a practiced smile on her lips. I'll be covering all expenses for the trip, she announced. It's my privilege to know all of you, and I'm happy to do something for everyone. These were the sons and daughters of dynasties. Their spending habits were astronomical. After a moment of surprise, the room erupted in cheers. That's our Veronica. A true queen. So generous. Thank you, V. The praise was endless. Veronica soaked it in, her face radiant, until her eyes landed on me across the room. Her expression flickered for a second before she tried to pretend she hadn't seen me, her gaze sliding away. But someone else with far less tact piped up. Is Julian Prescott coming to the Arctic too? The guy lowered his voice, but not enough. Honestly, with the Prescott family tanking, he shouldn't even be at this party. Now he's going to tag along to see the aurora? If the tabloids get a picture of that, it'll drag down the whole image of our circle. Oh shoot. I forgot he's Veronica's boyfriend. My bad. I'll shut up. He shut his mouth, but the damage was done. An awkward silence fell over the room. Deep down, none of them wanted me on their luxury trip, but since my girlfriend was footing the bill, it would be a bad look to exclude me. No one knew what to say. Veronica broke the silence. She lifted her chin, her voice laced with arrogance. You don't have to worry about my feelings when it comes to Julian. He and I are over. The room bustled. I froze for a second. Over? When did that happen? How was I, the person involved, the last to know? Veronica's voice turned cold. The Prescott Group is in a nosedive. Their stock is worthless, and their reputation is shot. Meanwhile, the Vance Corporation is stronger than ever. Our position in this country speaks for itself. The two families are no longer in the same league. She paused, letting the words hang in the air. To be blunt, we're not a match anymore. Forcing it would be bad for everyone. You can call me a snob if you want. I don't mind. The people who had been hesitant before, out of deference to her, now felt unleashed. The mockery began. A snob? Don't say that, Veronica. You're just discerning. No offense, but what is the Prescott family anyway? Even before they went broke, they were never good enough for you. You did the right thing, V. You have to cut deadweight like that loose. Veronica reveled in their words, basking in the center of their fawning circle, a triumphant gleam in her eyes. She was about to say something else when a series of screams cut through the party. Oh, who hit me? Julian. Are you insane? You can't touch me. I grabbed the pieces of trash who had been mocking me and my family, and I started swinging. One by one, I knocked them down. When I was done, I spat on the floor. A bunch of pathetic weaklings. If you don't have a spine, then shut your damn mouths. Did you forget I was the Ivy League boxing champ 10 years ago? Any of you skinny-armed punks talk trash again, and I'll put you in the hospital. Veronica was furious. The party ended abruptly. She dragged me into her chauffeur's sedan and immediately started lecturing me. Julian, do you have any idea what you've just done? Your family is finished. Do you know how many of those guys you hit? They're parents who run major corporations. If your family can't get contract with them. I didn't let her finish. I leaned in close, my eyes dark as I stared her down. She clearly wasn't expecting it and jumped, instinctively trying to shrink away. But in the cramped space of the car, there was nowhere to go. She glanced at the driver outside, her voice a frightened whisper. What? What do you think you're doing? If you try anything, I'll scream. I leaned back into my seat with a sneer. Why would I try anything with you? After all, you're my ex-girlfriend. Veronica swallowed hard. Seeing that I wasn't going to hurt her, she put her mask of arrogance back on. I know you're not happy that I broke up with you, especially in public. I had no choice. With the Prescott family failing, if I stayed with you, I and the entire Vance family will be looked down on. But don't worry, I broke up with you, but I'm not just dumping you. I scowled. What the hell are you talking about? Are you out of your mind? She ignored my crude language. I'm giving you two choices, she continued. First, we officially break up. Second, we start a secret relationship. We date in private where no one can see. She waved a dismissive hand. Never mind. I know you're head over heels for me, so you'll pick the second option. You're right. A secret relationship is better for everyone. So, I have a few rules you absolutely cannot break once we're underground. You're not allowed to be in the same space as me without my permission. You also can't tell anyone about us. I don't want to be ridiculed because of your family's pathetic status, Julian. You were born into this world. You know how it works. Our families all have arranged marriages to consider. So when I go on dates, you can't interfere. Of course, I'll do my best to get out of any real engagement. I couldn't listen anymore. I held up a hand to stop her. Hold it, Veronica. Don't be so damn sure of yourself. You really think I can't live without you? She laughed, completely certain. Don't pretend, Julian. I know you. All those things you did for me in the past. If it wasn't because you loved me and couldn't leave me, then what was it? I gave her a look. In the past, I thought you were a human being, and when you were a human being, you should give it your all. Now that I recognize you're just an animal, why the hell would I still love you? Veronica's face changed in an instant. It turned ashen, her voice tight with disbelief. You dare insult me? I snorted. Don't worry. Soon enough you won't even be worth insulting. As for the two choices you gave me, I'll take the first one, Veronica. Let's break up. She was still reeling from my insults, and the word break up hit her like a second blow. She started to tremble. Break up? Julian, you want to break up with me now? Veronica was panicking. She was the one who brought it up first, in front of everyone, without a shred of concern for my dignity. So why was she panicking now? I opened the car door and got out. I threw two words over my shoulder. Get lost. Then I slammed the door shut and walked away. I hadn't gone far when my phone rang. I pulled it out and glanced at the screen. It was my father. I hit the answer button. His voice, dripping with condemnation, immediately blasted through the speaker. You useless brat. You couldn't even hold on to one woman. The Prescott family is fading, and if you had just kept a tight grip on that Vance girl, she could have convinced her family to throw a few projects our way. We might have had a chance to make a comeback. Now that you've been dumped, what comeback is there? The party was full of gossips. It was no surprise the news had already spread through our entire circle. I didn't argue with him. I just said flatly, it's fine. I lost one. There'll be another. My father scoffed. What other one could there be? You think it's so easy to connect with these powerful families, especially the ones with real money and influence. I continued, my voice devoid of emotion. Isn't there still the arrangement lottery? The line went silent. After a long moment, his voice returned, hesitant. Julian, you're going to participate in that ritual? What other choice do I have? I shot back. Listen to you lecture me about being a useless brat. He fell silent again. Then, slowly he said, you're making a great sacrifice. You're a good son. He followed up with a few more hollow compliments. I was sick of hearing it, so I hung up. The arrangement lottery. It was an event organized by the most powerful families, but it wasn't just for them. Countless smaller families participated too. The name was self-explanatory. You draw a name, and whoever is on that slip of paper, you have to marry. Of course, this is the 21st century. The ritual wasn't legally binding. However, if you refused to marry the person you drew, the law wouldn't force you, but you would be publicly slapping the faces of the powerful families who ran the event. As a result, every corporation under their control would blacklist you and your family. In a way, it was its own kind of coercion. The lottery was held irregularly. This time, it was in 2 weeks. The time flew by. I arrived at the venue, ready to participate. As the recent ex-boyfriend of New York's top socialite who had also just gotten into a brawl at a high society party, there were plenty of people who came just to watch the spectacle. They didn't bother to lower their voices as they mocked me. Usually, these arranged marriages are carefully calculated for mutual benefit, decided long in advance. This arrangement lottery is only for people with limited options. Bro, why be so polite? Your family's one of the big ones. To say it like it is, the people who come to this lottery are the bottom of the barrel. Who's going to call you out? Hey, they can't all be weirdos. I mean, you've got Julian Prescott, a handsome 26-year-old. He's a quality catch. It's just a shame his family is broke, so he has to do this to save them. TSK. I did some digging on the other participants. I wonder who he'll draw. Will it be the one who's 50 years older than him? The one with special hobbies? Or the one with 8 kids? Oh, I also heard there's a man who registered in the bride category. If Julian draws him, I wonder if he'll refuse? At this point, if any major family is willing to tie themselves to the Prescotts, does Julian even have the right to be picky? Man or woman? The jeers grew louder. It seemed like everyone was waiting for my downfall. The arrangement lottery had only 2 parts. First, the women drew from the pool of men. Then the men drew from the pool of women. Each round produced 2 couples, for a total of 4 arranged marriages per event. The women's round finished. My name wasn't drawn. Next, it was the men's turn to draw. The host picked up a raffle drum and began to turn it. A moment later, a wooden stick fell out. It wasn't me. It was another man. He went up to draw his partner. After he was done, the host started turning the drum again. I thought to myself, let's just get this over with. No matter who it is, as long as they have money, it's fine. I don't want to go back to the Prescott house and live a life where everyone looks down on me. Clack. A stick dropped out. The host glanced at it, then spoke into the microphone. The next gentleman to draw is Julian Prescott. A cheer went up from the crowd, especially from the guys I had beaten up at the party. They clapped and whistled, making a scene. I was debating whether to beat them up again now or wait until after the drawing, when a commotion rippled through the onlookers. Someone important had arrived. It was Veronica. She was sweating and out of breath as she appeared before the crowd. Ignoring everyone's stares, she rushed toward me, her eyes red. Julian, how could you participate in this? If you go through with this, you have to get married. You can't do this. Please, just wait for me. I furrowed my brow, confused. I don't know what you're talking about. Wait for what? Miss Vance, we've already broken up. Who I marry is none of your business. Veronica was frantic. She wanted to say more, but then she noticed the countless pairs of eyes on us. She grabbed my arm and pulled me into an empty corner. Julian, we broke up, but just wait. I know what I did before was horrible, and I've been thinking about a lot, but it was the prompt that made me do it. We're living in a novel, and I'm the main character in a solo protagonist story. It's a romance plot, so I have to give up on love and focus on my career to win in the end. Just wait until I take over the Vance Corporation, then I'll come back for you. I felt a surge of absurdity. I looked her up and down, then gave a cold smile. If you're having a mental breakdown, you should go to a hospital, not stand here spouting nonsense. What did you say? Prompts made you dummy in public. Veronica's eyes were wet with tears. She gripped my arm, her explanation tumbling out in a rush. Yes, the prompts told me that this novel suddenly went off script one day, and all the characters gained self-awareness, but the author can still influence the plot. As long as I follow the solo protagonist rules, abandon love and reject men, the author will rewrite the story to give me certain advantages, helping me take over the Vance Corporation. I was getting angry. I shook her hand off my arm. Ms. Vance, if you try to play me for a fool again, I don't care who you are, I will hit you. With that, I left the corner and returned to the ceremony. I took the raffle drum from the host and began to shake it. Clack! A stick fell out. The host was the first to grab it. He held it up for everyone to see as he announced, Mr. Julian Prescott has drawn as his marriage partner, Morgan Sterling. The entire room gasped. No way. A powerhouse like Morgan Sterling is participating in this. I know, right? The company she founded in college has only been around for a few years, and it's already on par with the Vance Corporation. That's not even the main point. The main point is, she's only 29 and she's gorgeous. Why didn't anyone tell me Morgan Sterling was going to be here? If I had known, I would have signed up too. Some people don't want their participation known in advance. You could search all you want and never find out. Did Julian Prescott save the universe in a past life or something? He loses a trust fund baby and gets a self-made titan. The crowd was buzzing. It took me a long moment to come back to my senses. I had been prepared for a disastrous match, one I would have to endure to escape the scorn of my own family. I never imagined I would draw the winning ticket. "Hello, I'm Morgan Sterling." A woman's voice cut through my thoughts. I turned and saw her, elegant and commanding. I nodded, still in a daze. "Hi, I'm Julian Prescott." The drawing was over. I was about to leave with Morgan when Veronica rushed forward, trying desperately to stop me. "Julian, don't go with her. Wait for me. Wait until I become. And she's 3 years older than you. She's an old woman. She doesn't deserve you." I glanced at her disheveled state. "Ms. Vance, you've really lost it," I said coolly. "You'll say anything, won't you?" "Let me repeat myself. We are broken up. Stop interfering in my life." I walked away, not looking back at Veronica, who had collapsed to the ground, sobbing. After the lottery, if neither party had any objections, the next step was immediate: get married. I got into Morgan Sterling's car on my way to her home to discuss the wedding plans. We hadn't been on the road for long when my father called. "My boy, you are truly my greatest son." To draw Morgan Sterling. "That Veronica Vance girl is an heiress, so what? Her parents are still in charge. If we wanted any projects from them, we'd have to go through her to get to them. But Morgan Sterling is different. If we want to collaborate, we can talk to her directly." His words were so blatantly opportunistic I grew annoyed, gave a few curt replies, and hung up. Morgan was sitting beside me, her hands folded in her lap. Her melodic voice filled the car. The car is quiet, so I couldn't help but overhear. "Your father seems very pleased with our arrangement." "I'm sorry you had to hear that," I said, embarrassed. "As you know, the Prescott family is struggling. My father is desperate to grab onto any lifeline. Being connected to you through marriage is a stroke of incredible luck for my family." Morgan was silent for a moment, then she asked softly, "You're the firstborn son of the Prescott family. By rights, you should have a position in your family's corporation, but instead, you're being used for an arranged marriage." The question stung. A feeling of bitterness rose in me. My mother died when I was young. My father never loved her. He only married her to get an investment from her family. After she was gone, as her son, I was naturally pushed aside. Even though I graduated from college years ago, I've never been allowed to touch a single project at the company. In contrast, my father's 2 children with my stepmother were brought into the company to learn the ropes the minute they graduated from middle school. Morgan murmured as soft, "I see." Silence settled in the car again. I felt the need to fill it. "Sorry, but can I ask you a question? Why would someone of your stature participate in the arrangement lottery? With all due respect, you could have any man in the country you wanted." Morgan turned her head, her gaze flowing over me like water. "Just curiosity. No special reason." She said it without a hint of emotion. I worried that maybe she wasn't happy with me as her choice. I quickly added, "Look, I know the lottery has a certain binding nature to it, but that's all based on a gentleman's agreement between the families. It's not legally enforceable, if you're not willing." Before I could finish, Morgan's calm expression fractured. Her voice was sharp with a sudden anger. "You're not satisfied with me? You don't want to marry me." I realized she had misunderstood. I rushed to explain. No, that's not it. I was worried you weren't satisfied with me and didn't want to get married. I just wanted to say that even if we don't get married, we shouldn't part on bad terms. That a friendly separation would be best. After all, if someone like you were to retaliate, the Prescott family couldn't handle it in our current state." Morgan visibly relaxed, a beautiful eyebrow arched. "No, I'm willing and I like it very much." At first, I didn't quite register her words. Then it clicked. The like she was talking about was me. My heart started hammering like a drum. The car fell silent again. After a few minutes, Morgan's voice, as soft as a breeze, returned. "Julian, we're getting married soon. You don't have to be so formal. Don't call me Miss Sterling, and you don't need to be so polite. Call me Morgan, okay?" The titan of the business world, Miss Sterling, was suddenly acting shy and demure. I didn't know what to think. My mind was a mess. My own voice came out quieter than I intended. "Okay, I understand." At Morgan's estate, we began discussing the wedding arrangements. It took the entire day, and it was clear this was far more complex than I had imagined. It would take a long time to finalize everything. As I was about to leave, Morgan suddenly said, "We still have many more days of planning ahead, and we're about to be husband and wife. Why don't you just move in here? It would be much more convenient." I wasn't really paying attention and mumbled, "Sure." "Wait, what did you say?" I turned back and caught the briefest glimpse of a smile vanishing from her face. "You were—" Morgan immediately shook her head, her expression firm. "You saw wrong. I wasn't smiling." I scratched the back of my neck. "Huh? I wasn't talking about you smiling. I just think, moving in so suddenly, wouldn't that be an imposition?" A sharp light glinted in Morgan's eyes. "Julian, are you refusing to live with me?" I shook my head frantically. "No, no." She turned and walked away. "If it's not a no, then move in. I won't say a second time." It seemed I had no choice. Unexpectedly, things with my marriage partner were moving at lightning speed. Less than a day after the drawing, we were already living together. "Good son. You've done an excellent job," my father crowed over the phone. "Hold on tight to that woman. The Prescott family's comeback is just around the corner." Unlike my own reservations, my father was thrilled, praising me effusively. This kind of heartfelt praise from him had only happened during 2 periods of my life. The last one was when I was dating the queen of New York's social scene. The next time I ran into Veronica was at a bridal boutique. Of all the terrible coincidences, the wedding dress Morgan fell in love with was the same one I had looked at with Veronica. When I was with my ex-girlfriend, I had imagined our wedding day 1,000 times, but that was all in the past now. Just as Morgan was about to try on the dress, Veronica appeared out of nowhere. "You, Sterling," she said, her tone aggressive. "Don't you dare lay a hand on that dress." Morgan glanced at her stormy expression and seemed to understand. She turned to the sales associate. "Has this dress been reserved by a customer?" The associate shook her head. "No, it hasn't, but—" She struggled for the right words, not knowing how to respond. Veronica Vance was a big name, and the staff was afraid to offend her. Morgan waved a hand, dismissing the associate. She then turned to face Veronica, her posture radiating an unshakable confidence. "If it hasn't been reserved, then any customer has the right to try it on. Of course, there are many dresses in this shop and many bridal shops in this country. I don't need to fight over the specific one. But, Ms. Vance, I suggest you take a hard look at your own situation. No matter how connected you were to something or someone, that is all in the past. If you keep trying to snatch what's no longer yours, you'll just become a laughingstock." Veronica's face flushed a deep red. Her eyes darted over and saw me standing nearby. A sudden, cruel smile spread across her face. She looked Morgan up and down, her voice dripping with scorn. "So what if you have him? You're right, there's so many bridal shops. So why did you two end up at this one? Could it be that someone isn't over his old flame and came here to reminisce?" She didn't wait for an answer. "Let me be more direct. Julian, you must still have feelings for me. Even with a fiancé, you had to bring her to the very shop we visited countless times. You're just pathetic." I couldn't see my own expression, but I knew it must have been awful. I was about to speak, but Morgan beat me to it, a calm smile on her face. "First of all, I chose this shop," she said smoothly. "Secondly, Ms. Vance, I think you have it backwards. Julian and I are getting married. It is perfectly normal for us to be in any bridal shop since we have a wedding to plan. But you, are you getting married? You don't have a wedding to plan. You don't even have a boyfriend yet. Here you are. Could it be that the one reminiscing, as you put it, is actually you? It seems the person who can't let go of their ex is Ms. Vance, isn't it?" Veronica, her private thoughts exposed, was speechless. She could only glare at us, her fists clenched at her sides. Finally, she threw out a final, desperate, "Don't be so smug, Morgan Sterling. Once I use the prompt to become the head of the Vance family, I'll cancel every single project my parents have with your company. Then, even if you get on your knees and beg me, I won't work with you. I'll let you in on a secret. I'm the sole protagonist of this story, and you're just a side character. You're destined to fail at my hands." After spewing this nonsense, she stormed out of the shop. I shook my head. Veronica's mental state is getting worse. Morgan's voice was laced with a dry sarcasm. "Well, of course. The dress she picked out with her ex-boyfriend is about to be worn by his new fiancé. It would be strange if she weren't losing it." I froze for a moment, then rushed to explain. "Morgan, I swear I didn't know she would be here. If I had any idea, I would have steered you away from this block entirely." Morgan's lips pursed, her beautiful eyes filled with a theatrical sorrow. "If your conscience is clear, why are you so afraid to see her? Unless you're still thinking about her." I drew a sharp breath, at a complete loss for words. A light bulb went off in my head. Without thinking, I asked, "Morgan, are you jealous?" Morgan became flustered. "Jealous? No, 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 not at all." She turned on her heel and stormed out of the bridal shop. Watching her leave, I sighed. That evening, back at her estate, I knocked on the door to her study. I carried in a small dessert and placed it on the desk in front of her, where she was reviewing a business proposal. "I saw on your social media a while back you posted about a bakery saying their red velvet cake was amazing. I went to the shop and begged the owner to teach me how to make it. This is my first attempt, but I hope you like it." Morgan glanced at the cake on the plate, but didn't touch it. Her expression remained icy. I assumed she was still angry about what happened at the bridal shop, but when she spoke, it was about something else entirely. "You went through all this trouble to make me a cake based on something I posted online. Are you doing this to appease me, or is there another reason?" I didn't understand her question. "I wouldn't call it appeasement," I answered honestly. "It's an apology. I don't want you to be angry anymore." Morgan let out a small moan. "So it's not because you like me then?" I was stunned. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. Morgan's eyes were still fixed on her proposal. Her tone was cool and distant. "Julian, at the lottery that day, even if you hadn't drawn my name, someone else would have, and I would have entered into this arrangement with them. So you don't need to feel burdened, like you have to walk on eggshells around me, doing everything with the intention of appeasing me." She finally looked up. "I hope that the next time you do something, your reason is that you genuinely want to, and that you do it out of affection. I'll eat the cake. You can go now." There was no point in staying. I left the study, but as I walked out, her words echoed in my mind. "At the lottery that day, even if you hadn't drawn my name, someone else would have." A question began to plague me. Why did I draw Morgan Sterling? Was I really that lucky? Driven by this new suspicion, I returned to the venue where the arrangement lottery had been held. 9 hours after the ceremony, all the props were packed away in a storage room, waiting for the next event. I found the 4 raffle drums. In the 2 drums for the women draw men round, none of the sticks had my name on them. And in the 2 drums for the men draw women round, one was filled with sticks bearing the names of different women, with one notable exception, Morgan Sterling. And in the other drum, every single stick had the name Morgan Sterling written on it. There was no doubt. The first set guaranteed that no woman could draw my name. The second set guaranteed that I would inevitably draw Morgan's. I returned to Morgan's home with a storm of emotions inside me. After dinner, Morgan knocked and entered my bedroom. "I wanted to discuss some wedding details with you before dinner, but you weren't home. So we'll have to do it now. Take a look at my preliminary plans and tell me what you think." My mind was elsewhere. I gave a few distracted, non-committal answers. Morgan noticed my indifference. A hint of anger entered her voice. "This is our first and only wedding, Julian. You should be more invested." I knew my attitude was poor. I quickly stood up to apologize. I stood up too fast. The handful of lottery sticks I had taken, each one inscribed with Morgan Sterling, fell out of my pocket and scattered across the floor. I lunged to pick them up, but it was too late. Morgan was faster. She bent down and gathered them. As she saw what was written on them, she froze. When she straightened up, a blush was spreading across her cheeks. Her voice was a mix of shock and embarrassment. How do you have these?" I couldn't meet her eyes. I was just curious how I got so lucky drawing the winning ticket. So before dinner, I went back to the venue, and I found these. Morgan was uncharacteristically shy. She fell silent, wrapping her arms around her stomach like a child who had been caught doing something wrong. I sighed. I figured it was best to just be direct. I always thought the lottery was random. I never imagined it could be rigged. Morgan's head snapped up. "It's supposed to be random. But when you're in my position, you learn that some random things can be controlled. I'm sorry. It's just that I like you so much I had to resort to this." Her confession came out in a rush. "Years ago, I saw you at a business conference. You were giving a speech on stage, and you were just radiant. I was drawn to you from that moment on. But when I asked about you, I learned you were already in a relationship. Then, I heard you had broken up and were going to participate in the arrangement lottery. I was so excited, so I secretly contacted the organizers and had them swap out the drums. Julian, if you think I'm manipulative and devious for rigging the lottery, we can call off the engagement. And don't worry, I'll still help the Prescott family get through its crisis. But if there's no fate between us, then so be it." She turned her back to me, looking utterly dejected, like a candle about to burn out. I stared at her back and a pang of sorrow hit me. It was like I was looking at another version of myself, the one who was an outcast in his own home. I couldn't tell if it was like or a desire to protect, but my feet moved on their own. I stepped forward, wrapped my arms around her, and held her tight. No, I'm not leaving you, Morgan. Let's get married. I want to be with you. Morgan turned around. Her eyes were red and shimmering. Tears welled up. She covered her mouth in disbelief. Are you serious, Julian? I don't want to force you. I nodded solemnly. Yes, marrying you is the best choice I can make. If you didn't like me, being with you would feel like a burden. But since you do like me, our marriage can be my way of repaying you. I won't feel any pressure. It's just my family. Morgan raised her arms and hugged me back just as tightly. Don't worry about the Prescott family being a burden. At that business conference, you showed everyone how brilliant you are. The Prescott family will thrive under your leadership. I was surprised. After processing what she had said, I stammered. Under my leadership? But my father won't even let me near the company. Even the few conferences I've attended, I had to sneak out behind his back to go. How can I possibly take over the Prescott Group? Morgan tilted her head up, her eyes full of affection. Don't think about any of that, Julian. Just tell me, do you want to lead the Prescott family? Morgan's calm, steady gaze seemed to smooth over all the tangled thoughts in my mind. Without any more hesitation, I nodded. Yes. She smiled softly. Leave it to me. You don't have to worry about a thing. A month later, at a project partnership meeting between the Prescott Group and Sterling Industries, my father was all smiles. Ms. Sterling, he said to Morgan, you have a keen eye for choosing a partner. With us, rest assured, the Prescott family's troubles are only temporary. In the near future, we will absolutely make a comeback. All right, let's not waste any more time. Shall we sign the contract? Morgan looked at my father with completely emotionless eyes. Her voice was ice. You're right. The Prescott family's decline is temporary, and it will certainly rise again in the future. However, I believe the key to the Prescott family's resurgence lies in changing its leadership. Your son, Julian Prescott, is much more suited to be the new chairman. The color drained from my father's face. His expression froze. After a long moment, he stammered. What did you say? Morgan Sterling. You have some nerve. You may be a business genius who built an empire in a few years, but I am your future father-in-law. The leadership of the Prescott family is not for you to meddle in. Morgan ignored him. She let her gaze sweep over certain people in the room. One by one, senior executives from the Prescott Group stood up. I agree with changing the chairman of the board. I agree. Let's call an emergency shareholders meeting immediately to vote on a new chairman. I also believe Julian Prescott would be a better leader. My father staggered and collapsed into his chair. His hands slammed against the tabletop. He looked up, his eyes glaring daggers at Morgan and me. You two ungrateful children. His eyes looked like they were about to pop out of his head. It didn't matter. 2 hours later, I was the new chairman of the Prescott Group, and as my first act, I signed a partnership agreement with Sterling Industries. After the signing ceremony, Morgan, dressed in a sharp business suit, extended her hand to me. A pleasure to be working with you, Mr. Chairman. I hope our future collaborations will be as smooth as today's. Her eyes twinkled. And not just our business collaborations. I smiled and took her hand. Of course, our first collaboration outside of business is about to begin. I'm sure it will be very smooth. It was not smooth. Our first non-business collaboration was a complete disaster. 2 weeks later, it was our wedding day. The first half of the ceremony went off without a hitch. Then, suddenly, Veronica burst into the venue. In the few months since I'd last seen her, every trace of the polished New York socialite had vanished. She looked wild, laughing and crying at the same time. When she saw me, she lunged. Thankfully, security was quick to react, intercepting her and dragging her out. As they pulled her away, she shrieked at the top of her lungs. Julian, why didn't you wait for me? I'm about to become the head of the Vance family. Once I do, we can get married. You don't believe me, do you? You have to believe me. I have the prompts. You see, the prompts are everywhere, filling the sky. They're going to help me. I am the sole protagonist of this story. If I don't succeed, who will, huh? I will absolutely become the head of the Vance family. Ha ha ha. Her voice faded as she was removed from the hall. The ceremony resumed. I felt a sharp pain in my chest. I looked over and saw Morgan giving me 2 light punches, her expression full of mock grievance. What? She pouted. Still thinking about your ex? I quickly cut her off. No, not at all. I have no feelings for her. I'm just curious. Morgan shook her head, her gaze drifting toward the entrance of the hall. She sighed. I heard that Veronica did a lot of terrible things to secure her position as the Vance family heir. That included dumping you when your family's fortunes fell. But honestly, even though she broke up with you, she was still in love with you. Otherwise, she wouldn't have had a complete breakdown after you were gone. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. If she had stayed with you, she would have remained a socialite, easily outmaneuvered by her siblings, with no real power, just a pretty face. And even if she hadn't broken up with you, if the Prescott family didn't recover quickly, her family would have forced her to end it and marry someone else. So I can understand her desperation to become the head of her family, and I can also understand going mad from heartbreak. I was still puzzled. But what about the prompts she kept mentioning? Morgan shook her head again. You can't take the words of a mad person seriously. She's not in her right mind. It's normal that we don't understand. That made sense, I supposed. But then she changed the subject, her eyes welling up with tears. It's fine, Julian. If you still have feelings for her, I'll give you a chance. I'll let you go. Let me just suffer the pain of unrequited love alone forever. I panicked. That's not it. I stopped having feelings for her a long time ago. Morgan, my heart only has room for you. I promise I will only ever love you. To prove it, I cupped her face in my hands and gave her a deep, lingering kiss. Morgan smiled shyly, then playfully punched my chest again. The guests erupted in cheers. We exchanged rings, witnessed by all our friends and family. Morgan and I became husband and wife, and I thought to myself, we will be together forever, and we will live happily ever after. Epilogue. To go from an ordinary person to a titan of industry in just a few years, to build a corporation from scratch that could go head-to-head with the old money dynasties. Even a business genius would find that nearly impossible. But if you had a system, anything is possible. Dang, congratulations, host. You have bonded with the prompt system. As the name implies, after bonding with this system, the host can select a target at any time and send them visible on-item prompts. The target can also be changed at any time. Morgan had once admitted to Julian that she was manipulative and devious, but Julian probably never imagined the true extent of it. Rigging the lottery was only a small part. In business, she repeatedly used the prompts to disrupt her competitors' focus. Aided by the rewards from a system, she built Sterling Industries into a top-tier corporation in record time. And it wasn't just business. It was love too. The man she secretly loved, Julian Prescott, already had a girlfriend. Morgan was heartbroken, but she wasn't willing to give up. So she used a prompt system on Veronica Vance. She fed Veronica a narrative that she was living in a novel, a solo protagonist story. She was the one and only main character, and as long as she remained Noromance and abandoned love, she would win the position of family head. Of course, Morgan also sent countless prompts emphasizing the importance of becoming the heir and the terrifying consequences if she failed. After being bombarded with these prompts, Veronica believed it. She abandoned Julian, who was now useless to her. Even if she didn't stick to the Noromance plot, the failed Prescott family was no help in her quest to take over. Not everything went according to Morgan's plan. For instance, Veronica's idea of a secret relationship, but Julian didn't care about on the surface or secret. He cut ties completely. The main reason for that was his feelings for Veronica had already faded. If they hadn't, Morgan would have had to start sending him prompts too. Honey, our daughter's preschool is having an event tomorrow. Are you coming? 6 years into their marriage, they now had a child in their home. Julian was lying with his head in Morgan's lap, acting like a spoiled child. Please come, honey. All the other kids will have both parents there. We can't let our daughter be the odd one out. Business can wait. You can't ever earn all the money in the world. Morgan laughed, exasperated. She patted his head. All right. Since my dear husband is begging me, of course I'll go. Julian cheered, jumped up from her lap, and ran off to play with her daughter. Watching her husband and daughter playing joyfully, Morgan shook her head slightly, a thought crossing her mind. If they ever found out what a villain she truly was, could this happy family continue to exist? Therefore, the secret of the prompt system must never be told to anyone. And you? Reading this right now, you can't tell anyone either. Okay, the end.